Hi, and thanks for joining me. This is This Mama's Getting Fit and my 21-day fix friendly Thanksgiving meal.
Hi everybody, it's Thursday, our recipe video. But it's not Thursday. I know, it's not, but I was too excited to wait. I'm super happy about what I'm gonna show you. Today we are going to do a full Thanksgiving dinner video. We're gonna have healthy versions of all of our favorite dishes. I'm even throwing in a pumpkin pie tart. I just can't even wait to sink my teeth into it. This is going to be for a family of 4, but you can certainly bump up the ingredients or bump them down depending on the size of your crowd. So without any further ado, let's start with dessert.
So I'm going to spray 8 of the muffin compartments with coconut oil, and then adding 2 yellow containers of oats and 2 blue containers of pecans. And I'm going to pulse that up till it comes to a mealy consistency. Then I'm taking some coconut oil as well as some honey, and that's just going to help it all come together and give it a little bit of sweetness. So I'll just pulse that until it comes together and makes sort of a pie crusty feel. So I'm taking a spatula and I'm just going to evenly distribute this amongst the 8 compartments, and then I'll push it down with my fingers just to kind of make a crust. And these will go in the oven for about 8 minutes at 400 degrees. One little last touch, some cinnamon to give it a little extra pop of flavor. So in the oven that goes, and now we'll start on the filling. I'm doing 2 green containers of pumpkin puree. And I ran out, so I had to open another container. And then 1 egg, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. That's just going to give it that special flavor. And then I'm doing 3 teaspoons of maple syrup. And that's not the fake stuff, that's the real thing. So I'm just going to give that a minute to come together while I clean as I go. Make sure you guys do that. Helps a lot. And now I'm just going to evenly distribute the filling into the tin that just came out of the oven. And these will bake at 400 degrees for about 30 minutes till they start to firm up. So in that goes, and we'll start on the next dish. Actually, they're done. That's like magic. So I'm putting them on a plate, and I'm going to set those to the side to cool off while I make a yummy creamy topping. So this will be some Greek yogurt, the zest of a tangerine, because I didn't have a lime, so you just work with what you have, and the juice of the tangerine as well. And that's going to give it a yummy sweet flavor. And then I added a little bit of maple syrup because it wasn't quite sweet enough to my liking. And yep, it's good. I had to taste it. So that'll be for after dinner. So I'll put that cream sauce in the refrigerator and set the pumpkin tarts to the side. And now we'll start on the stuffing. So instead of breadcrumbs, I'll be using wild rice. And if you choose to do this, just make sure you follow the directions on your rice bag. Into the rice mixture, I'll be adding 2 slices of onion that I've diced up fairly small, as well as 4 ribs of celery. And that's just going to give it a yummy flavor, and then it'll be great because I'm going to stuff the bird with this stuff. So it'll be very tasty. And of course, you have to add a little herbs de Provence, as well as that 21 seasoning from Trader Joe's, some salt, some pepper, and garlic powder. And let that go to town. So the next thing I'm going to start is my cranberry sauce. I'm taking a purple container of cranberries and a purple container of blueberries. And just putting some water on that. I'm just going to let that simmer and let the berries break down. And while as they start breaking down, you just want to take like a potato masher and really make sure all those berries burst. It's going to help make your cranberry sauce very yummy. And I did feel like it needed a little bit of more seasoning, and it wasn't quite sweet enough, so I did add a little bit of honey as well. So now I'm just getting my turkey breast ready to go and making a little pocket that I will stuff the stuffing into. But of course you want to season it with salt, pepper, poultry seasoning, and garlic powder. So before I start stuffing my bird, I'm going to pull aside the amount that I'm going to put in there, because you never want to cross-contaminate your stuffing. That would be very bad. So make sure you separate it out and you're not putting the spoon back into the rice that's been touching raw meat. So I'm just seasoning with the same seasonings on the other side, and this is going to go in the oven You want to do about 15 minutes per pound, but actually mine took a little longer, probably because it was stuffed. I think it took mine about 45 minutes. So that's in the oven, and now I am peeling my potatoes to make my yummy mash. And so we'll get those all peeled, and then what I like to do is dice them, and that just helps the cooking process go much, much quicker than putting whole potatoes into the boiling water. Saves a ton of time. There's my son. Hello, son. Goodbye, son. So those will go in the pot, let them come to a boil. In the meantime, I'm going to slice some half rings. This will be for the green bean casserole. And kind of in place of those fried onions that you normally see, I'm just going to do a healthier version. So we'll just let those stay in the pan until they're pretty caramelized. In the meantime, I am thinly slicing several mushrooms that will go in the green beans as well. So as you'll see in a second here, those onions are ready to go. So I'm going to take them off of the heat and set them aside while I then start the mushrooms. And I want them to brown up as well. The potatoes got soft enough, so I just kind of put them in a strainer off to the side, off the heat. So now I'll be throwing my frozen green beans into the container, into the pan, and with some water. I think it was about 1/3 cup. That's just going to help it cook off. And I want to add some seasoning, some garlic, salt, pepper. Checking the turkey temp, it's not quite there, so we'll just leave it in there. Adding a little bit of Bragg's to the green beans, and they seem to be done. So I added the mushrooms, kept the onions to the side because I want those to go on top, just like if it was a green bean casserole. Adding a little coconut oil to my my turkey breast. I probably should have done that in the first place, but I noticed it was looking a little dry. So now the mashed potatoes, I'm using Greek yogurt to make it creamy and just a splash of milk. And just letting that come together. And now I'll start the gravy. So I'm using some chicken, it's not a broth, but it's like a condensed chicken mixture. It's very good for making gravy. And I added in some milk and some water. And I'm just going to let that come to a boil. Yeah, it looks like my turkey may be done. Let's see. Yep, it's done. So I need to set that off to the side to rest. But first I snuck a little bit of the drippings into that pan with the gravy mixture. So to thicken the gravy, I'm actually going to do something a little differently. I'm trying to avoid flour. So I'm taking cornstarch and using that as a thickening. So you want to make a slurry, and so that basically that just means equal parts water and cornstarch. And you just put that in there, and you'll be amazed. It thickens up in just a heartbeat. It's so fast. As soon as you put it in there, the gravy immediately becomes nice and thick. So I just stir that around, add a little more Bragg's, and cut the heat. It is ready to go, just like that. This meal is coming together. So now you're going to see me just kind of put my plate together so you guys can see what this looked like in the end. So I'll fill a red container with the turkey meat. And then my green container will be for my green beans. And I did add some of those onions on top. Those were amazing, by the way. They were so good. And just measuring out my turkey, make sure I get the right amount. And then I'm taking my yellow container and I'm filling that up with my mashed potatoes. And that will be my starch. And then for the cranberry sauce, I decided to use my dressing container. That seemed to be a good compromise on containers. And then I actually didn't measure the gravy. It's pretty healthy, so I wasn't too worried about it. And now I'm just putting a dollop of my cream sauce on my pumpkin tart so that I can show you guys the end result. And these totals for containers, they are a guesstimate. Remember, it's Thanksgiving. You do not have to be perfect. You don't even have to use all of my ideas. But I hope I've inspired you to make a few healthy changes to your meal so that you can stay on track during the holidays. Thanks so much.